What's up, everybody? Welcome to our channel on Us Hockey Takes. I am Hohen and this is Scott, and in this video we'll be doing our Fantasy Friday video.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing our buy lows and sell highs again. This week we got 3 buy lows and 3 sell highs for you guys. So we're going to start off here with our buy lows, and I'm going to give you our first one here, Andrei Svechnikov from the Carolina Hurricanes. This guy had a really nice start to the year, and then he's kind of gone down, especially in the last 10 games. But I really believe this is the type of talent that you can't hold down for long. He's too talented of a shooter. I mean, we've seen this guy loves to fire the puck. So even when he's struggling, he's getting you a lot of shots on goal, which add up, especially in fantasy. And on top of that, now that we know Max Pacioretty is not going to be back for the rest of the year because he re-aggravated that injury, Svechnikov is going to have all the opportunity on the power play to be the #1 shooter, as well as playing big minutes throughout the rest of the game.
Yeah, Andrei Svechnikov is not my favorite player, but you know what? He is well liked by Rob Brind'Amour. Rob Brind'Amour really likes this player. He is the best shooter on the team right now, especially with Pacioretty out. He hasn't had to worry about someone else taking his spot on the power play, on the point, and stuff like that. Andrei Svechnikov is a terrific shooter, and I've seen him many times. He's a volume shooter, but sometimes he would have times where he would get a lot of goals and then he would do nothing in a few games. But overall, I think he's my favorite thing about Andrei Svechnikov is that he's a left winger He's a left winger, and left wingers are hard to come by, especially in fantasy hockey. And he's gonna be playing on power play 1 and everything, so it's a good pick.
Yeah, and the one thing about streaky players you can use to your benefit is if a guy like Svechnikov goes dry for 10 games and has a really awful streak, you know he's going to bounce back. So someone else just had to take that bad week for you. You don't have to deal with that. So you go out and get him, and then maybe you'll get his hot week where he scores 2 hat tricks in the same week like he did to start the year. You never know.
Yeah, and one last thing to add, Carolina's on a tear right now. They're trying to get that Metro Division lead, but from now to the end of the year. So they're going to play hard. So when they play hard, I expect Ahos and Svechnikov, these key players' production to pick up as well.
Oh yeah, that division is going right to the last 2 games of the year for sure.
And the second player that we have on our buy low candidate is Evander Kane from the Edmonton Oilers. He just came back from a scary wrist injury. He has been playing about roughly 17 minutes on average since he came back.
Kind of working his way back
He's working his way back in lineup. I mean, this is one of those players right now where you need about at least a month of playing time before he gets back into speed, because that was a crazy injury. His shooting would not be the same as before the injury, but I think with a month time he should be able to pick up his game where he was before or close to. He's a terrific shooter. He hits, he shoots a lot. There's everything to like about Evander Kane's game.
Yeah, and one thing I really like, this is going to sound hilarious to say, but because he's going through his bankruptcy filings right now and having to miss games, that's just given that wrist more time to heal. And if you guys don't own him already, that doesn't hurt you any. It sucks for the person who owns him right now. But I mean, you can trade for him in a week and he'll be done with all that stuff and he'll be back on the roster with another week for his wrist to heal. And we saw down the stretch last year playing with Connor McDavid what this guy was able to do, and in the playoffs. This guy was absolutely elite in the playoffs. He was scoring goals like crazy. He was a big reason why that Oilers team made it as far as they did to the Final Four, and he has just got that elite potential to do it all, because in fantasy purposes, this guy is just the nuts. He, like Cohen said, if you're hitting and you're shooting that much and you can score, you pretty much got it all.
Yeah, he's one of the primary wingers on that team. Other than Zach Hyman, he's the biggest left winger on the team.
And look what Zach Hyman's doing right now. If you look at his numbers, I mean, imagine what Kane can do. Has more overall actual talent too. So, all right, and our third and final buy low I got for you guys is going to be Sam Reinhart from the Florida Panthers. Now, what's crazy is how bad to the start of the season Sam Reinhart played. Man, this guy had a great year last year with over a point per game, and he just crashed for the first half of this year. But you know what? Now he's got new life. He's reunited on a line now with Alexander Barkov and Anton Lundell the last 4 games, and he's got 7 points in his last 4 games. He looks like the Sam Reinhart we saw last year. Florida is finally starting to click offensively, and they're trying to make a bit of a run for it so they don't end up outside the playoffs. Granted, they might not make it, but hey, you want to have players who are competing right until game 82 so you don't get messed up in fantasy when it matters most in the playoffs. And he's the type of guy who could go on a hot streak for the rest of the year.
Yeah, Florida's all of a sudden playing much better in the first 20, 30 games of the season. It's good to see. And he's a big part of that. He's been tearing up in the last 5 to 10 games here. He's playing on a really hot line with Alexander Barkov and Lundell on that first line there, and then he's also playing on the first power play unit. So this guy was a very frustrating player for me personally, just because he lost us a lot of money in one of the playoffs. But you know what? In the regular season, he's a good player. He had 80 some points last year. 82 points, which is very impressive. He looks like he's back on that pace again, which is very, very good to see. He's got the offensive ability to do it.
Oh, yeah, no, he's definitely I mean, this guy was a lottery pick back when he was drafted, and we saw his potential fully on display last year. And for me, the biggest thing is I like that he's finally playing with Barkov, because most of this year he was kind of relegated to the second or third line, and it's really hurt his production. But playing with an elite center like Barkov and playing on the power play one, he's going to just have so many opportunities, and Barkov will make sure that he gets the puck. Well, I hope you guys have been enjoying this video so far. If you have, feel free to like and subscribe. But without further ado, we're going to send you off to our sell highs. Hohen, take us away.
And the next sell high candidate that we have is Nick Suzuki from the Montreal Canadiens. You know what? This is a very good two-way hockey player. He has 38 points, I believe, in 40-some games. He's actually doing pretty good offensively, but they don't have Cole Caulfield now. And that's a big part of why he was doing so good offensively. Nick Suzuki's still going to have a pretty good season down the road here because he's just a very good elite player. But without Cole Caulfield scoring those goals, it's going to be very tough for him to keep up with that pace.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I think Nick Suzuki is by far my favorite Montreal Canadian player. It's not even close, actually. What he does is just so great on both ends of the ice, and he's a really good leader. I like the kid. But right now, when you don't have a guy like Cole Caulfield shooting, as much as I'm not his biggest fan, that really hurts because, I mean, Nick Suzuki is not known for himself to be a shooter, so you don't get the shot value in fantasy very much. But on top of that, this team is kind of very much going towards the road of potentially tanking or being a lot worse than they were for the first 20 games of the year. And Nick Suzuki is probably going to pay the price for that as well. He's only had 1 point in his last 4 games, and he just hasn't looked like he's had the same amount of opportunities as he did when they were fully healthy and kind of going for it and closer to a 500 record. And they seem to be kind of falling off to that chance where they're likely to be bottom 6 by the end of the season.
Yeah, so for us, just to elaborate on that, for us, it's not really so much the player. The player is terrific. We like Nick Suzuki a lot, but the thing is, it's just the situation that he's going to go through.
Yeah, totally.
It's not as well. The quality of teammates is just nowhere as good with Cole Caulfield out. I know Cole Caulfield's the best shooter on the team. So
for our next sell high, I got Dylan Cozens from the Buffalo Sabres. I know about a month ago I said this already, and you know what? Technically, he did fall off a little bit. He was not as hot as he was for the weeks before that. But I think having 43 points in 47 games is still too high for this player. I don't want to sound like a hater. I actually like what Buffalo's doing right now as a team. I think this team is very competitive and has a shot at actually making the playoffs in the last wildcard spot. That's not my issue. My issue is I think most of this offense that's consistent is going to come from this top line with Tage Thompson, Jeff Skinner, and Alex Tuck. I think that chemistry is unreal. But with Dylan Cozens on that second line, they seem to be flipping it around a lot, and it's not as consistent. And a lot of those line mates he has tend to go dry, so I don't really love the situation for him as a second line center as much.
Yeah, exactly what Scott said. The main carrier of this team will be that first line, that Tage Thompson line.
They're unreal right now.
It's unreal. They have unbelievable chemistry. The second line is kind of they're getting points, but you don't know exactly how consistent these points are coming from. Jack Quinn. Right, can sometimes
he's very streaky.
Can be very streaky.
As much as I love him as a player.
As much as he's a rookie, right? So that's what you gotta expect from a rookie. And Dylan
Olofsson too. Those guys.
And Dylan Cozens is one of those players that is. I know he would play last year, but he's still this is just his second year, so he's not really a proven player yet. He has had a good season, no doubt about it. But the problem is down the stretch when the games get way tougher in the 50, 60, 70, and in towards the playoffs. Right now, they're in the playoff hunt right now, and these games get way harder and the teams tighten up much more. Yeah,
the defensive structure tends to pick up for a lot of players, and opportunities are not as open as in the first 20, 30 games where it feels like scoring pace is absolutely at an all-time high, especially this year. Look how many guys were a point per game after 30 games. It's kind of incredible. But for me, it's just he's relying a little bit too much on the power play production right now, getting all those power play points when he plays with those big three guys we mentioned and Rasmus Dahlin on that big unit, which granted, I still think he could get those power play points, but I think his even strength points are going to fall.
And the final player that we have for the sell high would be Kevin Hayes from the Philadelphia Flyers. I believe we had this guy also a month ago.
Yeah, about that.
This guy has 44 points in 48 games. It's still, to me, a little too high. I mean, this player is good, but the thing is we all know that Philadelphia Flyers is a bottom team.
Yes.
They're a bottom 10 team, and they're not going to make the playoffs. Right now, he's currently playing on the third line, and he's not even playing in top 6 right now. And I have no idea how this guy got the All-Star selection over Travis Konechny. So that's unreal to me. I don't know how, but he's a good player. I like Kevin Hayes overall, but the thing is, I just don't feel like he's going to keep up this type of production, especially with the team is going to start testing some younger players because they're not going to make the playoffs. Like Morgan Frost right now, a player that apparently publicly John Tortorella does not like, is on the top center. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, when John Tortorella is your coach, you really don't know exactly game to game what the F is going to happen. It's pretty random. He could love you one game, give you 21 minutes, and put you on the power play one. Then the next game he could scratch you, like he did once with Kevin Hayes this year, or he could put you on the third line, buried, playing 15 minutes. You really don't know, and that's kind of a scary thing for fantasy. All you need is for yourself to be in a playoff match against someone else in a tight battle between, say, the third versus fourth seed, and Kevin Hayes sits out a game because Tortorella gets mad. Like, you just don't know, right? And that's kind of a scary thing. But also the fact that this guy has really shown us in his career, he's never been this high a level of a player. And the guy's like 30. You're not really going to get that consistency most likely for the rest of the year. He's done it so far, but you have started to see signs where it does fall off a bit, and that's what's worrying me. But I hope you guys enjoyed this week's rendition of Fantasy Friday, and we'll see you next week for our new one. Take care.
Take care, guys. Bye.